So D Ford may be coming back. Nick Bosa is coming back. Haven't seen him in a while. You've been watching film on him recently. Let's give people a refresher on what makes him him.
So Nick Bosa is, you remember, with the last week with NBA Finals, Tim Duncan, how they called him the big fundamental. Nick Bosa is he's so fundamentally sound in his pass rushing technique. I mean, I think he might have been the most refined. If he wasn't the most, he is definitely in like the top three or five best refined pass rushers to come out of college. He's extremely gifted in knowing how to use pass rushing technique. He's not the most physically gifted, but he knows how, and it's not just how to use your hands. He knows when to use certain move. And out of Ohio State has one of the best defensive line coaches out there in all of football, and Larry Johnson. Okay. And Larry Johnson employs a system. It's a speed to power system, but really it's a power based system. And so what he implores his rushers to do. So they go speed first, which is speed is when I say speed is they're attacking the
outside edge
outside. Okay. So
yeah.
Guys, so speed, I'm trying to beat the tackle to an outside point and beat him. When you go power, you're attacking the offensive lineman, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna go speed, and if he doesn't think he can take the edge, then he's gonna revert to power. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what Larry Johnson says, well, we want to attack the offensive lineman. We want to put pressure on them. We don't want them lax. So we want to attack the offensive lineman. Mm-hmm. And when he does that, he teaches them the long arm. So a long arm, it's a one arm stab. You're going to attack the inside of the offensive tackle or the offensive lineman. The inside, you want to control that inside. That's where their power comes from. So he's going to use that, and then everything in their power game works off that long arm. If the tackle, depending on what the tackle, the offensive lineman does, he's got a counter to that. And what Bosa does really effective is he makes the offensive lineman wrong. So whatever the offensive lineman does, Nick Bosa has an answer to it, and he sees it and can implore a move. If he gives him the long arm and he tries to lean in, he can cut under it with a rip. I mean, he's so gifted and he's so gifted in that. And then he's mastered, which is what Ohio State has as their signature move, which is the side scissor. Okay, so the side scissor is a pass rush move where you're taking one arm and you're cutting the inside crease of the elbow, and then you're cupping the outside arm to get the edge. You could reverse it and go an inside side scissors as well, but and if you see both the Bosa brothers both use side scissors, I bet you could go through the league and look at Ohio State defensive linemen. That's Ohio State's signature move. All of those prospects.
Describe it again. I'm trying to visualize it.
So a side scissor. I'm taking one arm. I'm getting to the crease of. I don't know if you could. I'm getting the crease of the inside. The inside. Mm-hmm. The inside hand. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then with my outside hand, I'm getting to your outside elbow, and I'm cupping it because you want to control. When you're doing pass rush, you want to control the elbow. So I'm literally grabbing your outside elbow, and then I'm controlling it and pinning it.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and when we say as pass rush, yeah, you want to control those elbows. But if I'm chopping, I'm aiming for your inside crease of your arm. If I miss, I'm going to hit the wrist, which is not terrible either. So that's why we say aim for the aim for the inside crease of the elbow, because if we miss, then we'll hit the wrist, and hitting the wrist is still good.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Bosa's mastered that move, and so yeah, he's good with his hands. He's not like the quickest guy with his hands, but the thing that makes him so special is whatever the offensive lineman does, he has a counter for it, and he knows when to employ which tactic, and that's what makes him the great pass rusher that he is. Yeah, he has so much power, but he knows how to use it, and he knows when to use it.
Now, let me just say, it seems to me that he does have certain limitations. I don't know that he's necessarily the best pass rusher in the league. Like when he goes up against an elite offensive lineman, like Mekhi Becton or Orlando Brown, I think he struggles because, as you mentioned, he's not necessarily the most physically talented, gifted rusher. He doesn't have the real long arms like Myles Garrett or Alden Smith, but he is very technically sound and extremely strong. Remember, Robert Saleh said his rookie year, strongest defensive end in the league. It's incredibly strong.
Yeah, I don't. He doesn't have the long arms, and I don't think he's on that top level of explosiveness, and he's not the athlete that a Myles Garrett or these guys are. But I would say he's more technically sound. I mean, that's not going to it's not going to he's not going to ever reach like maybe the peak that those guys can. But what it can do is it can keep him at a consistent level. That's why when you talk about Bosa and his injuries, I don't think he's the type of guy with his injuries. I don't think he'll ever hit the point where he's useless unless he can't just get on the field, because his technique is not going to go anywhere. Even if his athleticism or his actual ability fails him, he'll still have that ability to read an offensive lineman and know which move to execute and use his leverage and all of that. Like, yeah, if he doesn't have some of his power and he'll lose some of his explosiveness, he won't be able to execute as often, but he'll still be able to. I think he'd still be a consistent pass rusher, even if his athletic ability fails him.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the thing we saw with Bosa is that his ability to consistently generate pressure is remarkable. His pressure rates are elite. He can beat offensive tackles consistently with all the things you just said. Thing is, I feel like the difference between him and, again, like young Alden Smith, Chandler Jones, is the arm length. And so when you've gotten past the blocker, and it's time to get the quarterback, I feel like what you see a lot of with Bosa is lunging, diving, grasping for ankles, him on the ground. And sometimes he gets him down, sometimes he misses. Whereas like someone like Chandler Jones or young Alden Smith, that guy was done. He was in the grasp. That's the one thing.
I mean, I think, arm length that plays, but I think probably arm length and then coupled with not having elite athleticism,
right,
accounts for some of those diving and then just missing and all of that.
Yes.
Not being, he doesn't have, like, you're going to see a guy that Samson Ebukam that has elite, he has elite closing ability. Like his first step and then his step to close, it's up there.
Yeah.
Bosa doesn't have that. Okay. So that's where some of the things that where he lacks, but his ability, his fundamentals are elite. And that's what makes him special.
The fact that he ends up so many plays on the ground, though, because of his effort, makes me wonder about his durability. Like, is it that it may keep happening with him? He just is very like not reckless, but kind of reckless with the way he plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he does keep getting injured, I think you look at moving him, and that plays into whether or not you want to resign him. But I mean, having a guy that can be a top 5 to 10 edge rusher in the league and paying him, I don't know, what are they paying him, $7 million a year now?
8, 9. It's great.
I mean,
fantastic. It's what you want.
If he's got to miss time, like, I'll take that. Like I'll take it to the end of your contract. And I think the Bosa thing, I think it lends itself to coming up to training camp, because I think when you are there and you're looking at pass rushers, I mean, I think it's important for you to look at who has a plan? Like, who has a plan in their path? Who's just, if you're just guessing, you're not going to consistently get to the quarterback. But like, if in Kinlaw's development, do you see him have a plan? Does he?
This is why I was down on Kinlaw last year, as I felt he had no plan last year. Let's see if he has one this year. That means, do you have a go-to move and a counter off of that? And do you know when to use the counter? Because Buckner did, Bosa does, most good pass rushers do. Yeah.
And then is he recognizing? I mean, I know in training camp you may be getting reps against different guys, but is he recognizing limitations or weaknesses of people that he's gone up against multiple times? Like, I don't know. Does Lakin Tomlinson have a problem with extreme power? Like those sort of things. And does he learn? And that not just
because Lakin Tomlinson, that's the one thing Lakin Tomlinson can handle is straight ahead power.
Straight power.
That's why honestly, Javon Kinlaw makes Lakin Tomlinson look like Larry Allen. Last year he did. He does. Lakin Tomlinson, in my opinion, struggles when he's in space, when there's a game and he has to find the looping edge rusher or something that's not straight ahead of him. But if it's just like sumo wrestler mode, he's really good, really very strong, low to the ground, good leverage.
Yeah, that might be an awareness issue.
That's what I think.
Is he a guy that just looks really good in one-on-ones?
Yes.
But when it's like,
yes, absolutely. I think that his awareness is low. That's what I see from him. He's got blinders.
Yep. He's got to be able to scan and see things in the peripheral.
Terrible at that. Well, that's when he gets beat. That's when he gets beat. And he's had trouble passing off stunts when he was playing with Joe Staley, when he's playing with Trent. Well, he's played with some great left tackles. It's on him. But he wins the Bob McCritch record every year. Anyway, we're not talking about him. We're talking about Bosa.
I think when you're looking at those guys, and I'm curious to see if does Bosa lend that knowledge to people, because he is one of those guys in the league that he has a plan and he knows how to execute it. And guys like Kinlaw and even Samson Ebukam, who's relatively green in the pass rush, could all use some of that knowledge. It'll be interesting in camp to see who comes out. And do you see Bosa talking to another guy and helping him learn? Because I think he's got all knowledge.
Yeah. Mike's asks, is the NFL going to lose even more fans with the mandatory vaccines on top of Black National Anthem again? Am I wrong, Grant?
I don't think so. I mean,
I think people are excited to go back to the games, man.
Yeah, I mean, if they lose people, it'll be very few. I mean, they're probably my thing is, like, you're starting to see now, they're going to lose players and coaches. How many of those guys are they going to lose? I mean, and to be honest, like, obviously the NFL is in the news, but it's not. The NFL isn't the only organization that it's mandating vaccinations and all that. Schools are, colleges are. I'm not familiar with too much with what's going on in the workplace, but I think there might be a few companies. I'm not aware of them, but I think it is. I think it was Indiana. There was a court ruling in Indiana. I think it was Indiana fairly recently where the court ruled in favor of a university that was mandating vaccinations. So this isn't something that's just in the NFL. It's happening all across the United States. So I think get used to it.
It is interesting, though, that certain high-level people on teams are just throwing away their careers or their jobs for now, short-term, long-term, over this. Like, the Vikings just lost their run game coordinator. Rick Dennison has coached with Kyle Shanahan before. He's a lot like Kyle Shanahan. He's gone because he doesn't want to get a vaccine. That's his choice. I wonder if the Niners are going to have – it's a story. How many teams are going to have coaches and players like this who just, say, you know what? I don't want to take it, and if you want to replace me, replace me.
I had yet to hear anything any rumblings of Niners with anti-vax or anything like that. But you'd probably more have your ear to the ground with that more than me. Although,
I mean, it's helpful that Fred Warner came out.
Although things seem to break more out from East than West, even though you're.
Yeah, I know, right? No, it seems like a good thing that Fred Warner came out yesterday and said that he's vaccinated and is willing to talk to teammates. It seems like if you have your main team leaders doing that, that's helpful as opposed to what's going on in Arizona. So
yeah, I think
or Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo is quite a few of those players.
Everyone's making fun of Cole Beasley right now. He's actually a really good player. They need him.
They do.
They need him. So their problem.
And DeAndre Hopkins is pretty good too.
He's decent. He's decent.